All right, so I think we're on to you, Simon, for your number one.
By the way, I think this show, if it doesn't get a zillion emails, then I don't know what's wrong with American soccer. There, I've said it.
I at least expect a couple comments about how I mispronounced somebody's name.
Yeah, Brett.
Is that always the case, Brett? Like you mispronounce them. I just mispronounce people's names on purpose now. Like,
that's kind of the stick with us right now. It's a running gag at this point. Like it's not my first time to mess something up, and it's not gonna be my last. So fuck it.
Yeah, Brett's kind of getting hammered on certain media sites for saying UEFA instead of UEFA. You know, it's okay. Jesus, what was the other one, Brett?
It was Reina and not Raina.
Oh God, You must have been stoned when we did that one. Because
I stopped saying Chris Pulisic's name because I said it 1,500 times, and I said I say crispy, and crispy like crispy chicken, right? And because it's crispy, right? Very simple. And I've had about 15 people email me going, "Why are you calling him crispy?" Like he's starting a fight over crispy. Did you not hear the other crap I said about him?
Yeah.
So, all right, whatever.
Well, that's why I always just respond to the people with humor. I always find a joke that I can make about something and go with it. Because I'm like, what am I supposed to do at that point? Who cares? Yeah.
We're going to argue. We've put up so many good points on this show. And if someone calls in and says, oh, yeah, I don't like the way you said dozy, I'm like, great. You know, I think you missed the point of the show. But fine. Thanks for emailing. I appreciate it.
And, you know, I had the same problem. And I made it a point back in the old days when we had our show when Bessler, i.e. Beasler, was out there playing for SKC. I said, yes, I said Bessler, and I'm sticking to it because that's how it's pronounced in Germany. Anyhow.
Just own it. Own it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. All right. I think, I'm
number one.
Okay. You are number one. Okay, it's Simon's number one.
Number one. All right. So number one is another player that I had the pleasure of interviewing. Oh God, I think it's like 6 years ago now. So I called him up and I said, listen, I want to talk to you. And he lives in Los Angeles. And he goes, yeah, why don't you come over and we can do it in my house, right? And you know that feeling you get, I don't know if, I think you should. You get that feeling you get when you talk to a legend and they're talking to you like you're almost a legend and you know what you're talking about and you're a proper pundit and you're a soccer guy and it just feels like you've arrived. And so when I went to this player's house, I got greeted through the garage and he had a Porsche and I'm a kind of a Volkswagen Porsche guy. And we started talking about Porsches and stuff. And I go, yeah, I got one. I'm working on this and blah, blah, blah. And so automatically I was like, we had a connection. And then he goes, why don't you come over to my garden? And his wife comes over and goes, hi, are you Simon? We've been expecting you, have a seat. What would you like to drink? And it was like, automatically, it felt like I felt great. I felt like I'd arrived in the soccer world, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I put him as number one is not because of that, but I guess mostly because of that, but because when I was a kid living in Southfields, which is literally next to Wimbledon, which is next to Fulham, we didn't have any American soccer heroes, right? We didn't really know anything about American soccer, right? I didn't know anything about American soccer. It was all about, Fulham. It was all about Chelsea. It was about Liverpool. It was about, Arsenal and Tottenham. And so the one guy that I knew was the baddie from the movie Escape to Victory, right?
Ah.
That's the one guy. Now, I knew the guys on the other team. I knew Pele. I didn't know Michael Caine was a soccer player, right? But I didn't, right? I knew the guys from Ipswich. I knew but the one guy I didn't know that I thought, man, that guy's pretty cool. And he didn't say a word was Werner Roth.
Yeah.
And Werner Roth, I put as number one because he was the first sort of quote unquote American soccer player that I ever sort of saw, right? That I knew about. And so I put him as number one, and that is a personal thing. That's nothing to do with soccer. But going to the soccer part, he was captain, right, of the Cosmos with Pele on the team, right? An American that was a captain of the Cosmos in the heyday, one of the only 2 Americans on the pitch, and he was in charge of the biggest stars of soccer in the history of soccer that played in New York. Now, as a captain, he played 15 matches as a captain, he played 15 matches. As a 12 times he was a captain, but he played from 1972 to 1975. Again, kind of the pre-heyday of the NASL. Now, the reason why I selected him was of 2 particular matches that he was captain of, right? The first one was in Rome's Olympic Stadium against Italy in 1975, and that was when the US lost 10-1 to Italy. 10-1, right?
Ouch.
And then the second match, he was captain. He was in Poznan, Poland, and he played against the Polish national team, and the US lost 7-1. And to be honest with you, I think that if you, as a captain, are captaining a team and you're losing 10-1 and 7-1 at the peak of your career, and you don't give up, you just say, keep going, I think it shows great fortitude. I think it shows great resilience.
Balls of steel.
Absolutely. And I think that's where the whole enigma of these American players, man, I'm gonna tell you, they're tough as nails, man. They're tough. And I think that's where it originated from, those 2 matches and that particular captain. And that's why I picked Werner Roth.
Simon, that is the most incredible background story for a guy who got simply crushed on the field, and the most compelling argument I have ever heard for a losing captain,
right,
picked as the number 1. I'm fucking loving it, dude. This is making my night. I'm guys' humble servant of soccer, man. I'm gonna put it out there. You guys have to bring it back down to life now. Bring it back down to reality. You know what else I love? I love the fact that his family came from Yugoslavia, and they named him Werner, and he said, "Nah, fuck it, I'm going with Werner." Werner Roth.
He's and by the way, I got to tell you guys, an amazing, kind person, right? And we've all dealt with soccer players from the past who are less than, just less than just human, to be honest with you. They don't have that kindness. Werner Roth was so kind. I mean, I spent half the day with him, and I talked about Escape to Victory.
Yes.
I mean, I literally said to me, I said, the way you're the baddie in Escape to Victory, and you're the only person from that movie that I really want to talk to. You meant so much to me, and again, I wasn't rooting for you, but the fact that you were a player, and that the fact that we found out that you were American, the fact that you weren't Sylvester Stallone, that is, I mean, so I've done that a few times in the soccer world where I've sat and talked extensively to, the guys that, I watched as a kid, my heroes. But this one was the one done with the most sort of sincerity, kindness, and he absolutely loves the game. He loves it. So I think just putting him there, just multiple levels of just why I want him to be number 1.
I have to say, on a general sense, that when we were doing our show, which was on Big Soccer, and we had some of the biggest names on, but there were almost 90% of them were fabulous people, fabulous guests, good people. Soccer people are generally good people. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give special tips to Jimmy Conrad and Bobby McMahon, but man, we had so many great guests back then because soccer people are good people. I mean, I'm sticking with that.
What's your number 1?
We'll go with Brett first.
Oh, Brett, what's your number one?
Well, I mean, we already did my number one. We did Boca earlier.
Oh, yes.
And then we did Derek's number one, which is Reina.
Yeah, so we're done.
We're done. I get the last day.
In all honesty, that's probably the perfect way to end the top five there.
Oh,
now, mind you, we're gonna bring it back and talk about the numbers.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna talk about Matt Miazga.
No, that's honorable mentions.
Oh no. Honorable and mention. Okay, I'll take the mention part.
Although, has Miazga actually captained? I didn't think he was actually on.
No, he hasn't captained the team yet,
Okay,
Brett.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. It's for a future show.
Yes, for sure. But I know
captain our 2022 World Cup.
Yeah. Okay, Brett has a request from you, Simon.
Sure.
Brett, you want to share that?
Well, first off, do you want to give the top five number-wise, and then we'll break for a new segment, and then do that as the second segment?
Okay, Brett's so right. He's keeping the guy who's supposed to be keeping this in order. Thank you, Brett.
I'm only 2 drinks in tonight, so that's the reason.
I'm at least 3 and more. Okay, so Bocanegra came in first. So what I did is I took all of our ratings, and if you came in first, you got 5 points. Second, you get 4, 3, 2, 1, etc. And then so I combined all our scores, and Bocanegra came in first with 12 points. Claudio Reyna came in second with 6, and tied for third, fourth, or for fifth with 5 points are Clint Dempsey, Landon Donovan, and Werner Roth. So I think we got all the good ones in there. Hell yeah!
Not bad.
I think so. I mean, I can't disagree with Carlos Bocanegra. I mean, he deserves all the success he has. I mean, he's been a steward and a servant to U.S. soccer. So all the stuff that he's doing right now. I think he's awesome with Austin, right? He deserves it. I think you should get a lot more credit for it. I mean, he's one of the guys that I've really wanted to talk to and haven't had a chance to. But I think he really is, and I don't think there'd be any sort of disagreement from the listening public out there that Carlos Bocanegra is up there, number one.
Yeah, because most of the listening public were born before they can remember. Like,
you think they're Googling right now Carlos Bocanegra and Werner Roth? Like, oh my goodness, or are they just like, whatever, it's Clint Dempsey or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, of course, it's what people remember. I mean. And that's kind of the sad thing, and that goes into so many debates that happen online right now where I feel as old as I actually am when I'm like, oh my God, this person has no fucking clue how bad it used to be.
So it was funny that looking at players who ended up having some form of captaincy throughout their career, and you really when you start looking at who's captained at least one game. And you're like, well, they just give the captain band to everybody, don't they?
Yeah.
But I was actually surprised not to see somebody who's named like Cherundolo on there. But you did see somebody like Brian Ching who had 2, which was the same number of captains. He had the armband same number of times as Jermaine Jones.
Mm.
Aaron Long has 5, which is 1 more than Brian McBride.
Wow.
Yeah, that's surprising.